On behalf of all of us, my name is Beasley, saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Right now, though, Brendan Parker and Ryan Dittrick are standing by with tonight's Ram post-game show, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers.
Winning Motor Trend Truck of the Year 3 times in a row? That had never been done before. Then again, neither had a 12-inch touchscreen or 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Never been done before. It's just kind of our thing.
All right, Flames TV Live. It is on the air, a post-game show, and it is brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. Happy to be back on the airwaves as we go through this 6-game homestand. The Calgary Flames in game number 2 here of that 6 games. Brendan Parker alongside Ryan Dittrick here tonight. And unlike the first stop on this homestand, a little bit of a different result here tonight for the Calgary Flames. And kind of slower starting in terms of the offense, but boy, did they find it in the second, and then hung on from there.
We were really curious to see how this team would bounce back after a not-so-great night against the San Jose Sharks, and that's kind of been this team's hallmark over the past few months, right? They're able to bounce back, put those tough ones behind them. Haven't lost 2 consecutive going back, I think, to mid-January, so they've got a nice little foundation to fall back on here. But that first period maybe didn't go as well as you might expect. The pace was a little bit slower, but you could tell they weren't very happy about how that one played out. The second period starts, and that was Johnny Gaudreau at its finest. Those are the top players taking over a game when they needed to.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of have talked about it at different points here this month, and that, boy, does it ever talk about good teams finding ways to get things done. And, I mean, to not lose back-to-back games here since January 7th and 13th, that is a real nice hallmark to be starting to carve out here at this time of year.
It's good, and it doesn't just speak to what they're able to do game to game. Like we saw, as I mentioned, in the first period, that's not what they wanted to see out of their team tonight, and I think the team went into the dressing room feeling that, kind of taking ownership of the fact that it wasn't their best effort. They knew how to correct it. They come out in the second period, they get back to their game. Johnny Gaudreau starts dancing a little bit too, and they start doing what they're good at. So it was it's good to see, because when those guys are going, obviously it's the sort of the straw that stirs the drink for this team offensively, and it really showed tonight. So
the main storyline from tonight, or the main headline, the fact that you get a 4-2 win here on home ice, but the layers, the subplots, the sub-stories, plentiful as this game goes on, and maybe we'll show the highlights as we roll through it, because that's where some of those storylines come through. And we talk about now 4 30-goal scorers on this team this season, and it starts early with a beautiful little give and go by Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, which we've seen so many times before.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about, right? 33 seconds into the second period, great opportunity for them to take control of the game. I think they caught Arizona not sleeping a little bit, but they knew what they needed to do to sort of set the game in their favor at this point.
And so on off to a good start here, 1-0 at that point, and then they get a power play just a few minutes later, and this is some nice passing here. Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, and then Elias Lindholm to finish it off.
And how many times have we seen this play all season? Elias Lindholm kind of rolls off the check, finds that soft spot in the middle of the ice there, and that shot, just lethal, right?
It's so hard to, well, first of all, he's got space and such a difficult guy to stop at that spot. And obviously, Matthew Tkachuk puts it on a tee as well. 31 on the season for Lindholm, and then it would continue here. Beautiful setup by Nikita Zadorov, and Johnny had Coleman there, but elects to keep and makes good.
Wanted to make good. He was sort of lamenting those missed opportunities, the breakaway and the penalty shot last game. But yeah, like that little pass here, Nikita Zadorov right through the legs of Louis Eriksson, finds it right on the tape. And yeah, you were thinking for a second Johnny might dish off to Blake Coleman. Nah, he's going upstairs on that one.
What a beautiful shot there by Johnny. That's his 30th goal of the season as well, and a three-point night, building already through the second period. Now Arizona would get one late in this late in the second period. Michael Cardone scores his first NHL goal. Beautiful release. Makes things interesting going into the third too.
Nice little story. 7 years in the American Hockey League, undrafted. This is only his 4th NHL game, and yeah, if you're going to get your first, may as well do it in that fashion on that good of a goaltender.
Fair enough, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but the response into the third period was a good one from the Calgary Flames. They had chances before this one, but they lead to a power play opportunity, which eventually leads to the goal.
So much of the discussion over the past few days is how the blue line's been doing a great job of getting pucks to the net. How about those wheels from Rasmus Andersson? Sees a lane, he's got the green light to go, and he takes advantage.
And then this comes late in the hockey game. Vladislav Kolyachuk, he scores to make it a 4-2 game, and another first for the National Hockey League. And that would be the end of this game in terms of the offense, but doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But a 4-2 final here, and we talk about the third period, and the way you come out. Elias mentioned kind of the reset button. You don't want to give one up late in the second, but once again, a response there to start the third kind of set the table for that period.
Yeah, and it just showing, you mentioned layers off the top, right? Kind of showing the different ways that the Flames can come at you. So a little bit more of an offensive flavor to that middle frame, but the Daryl Sutter style lock it down type of hockey that we saw a little bit more in the third period. But when we say that, it's not collapsing into a defensive shell, right? It's about being structured and being committed to your assignments. That's what we saw. A little bit more of the details that they need to do, especially against some of the top teams that we're going to see shortly here in the Western Conference.
We'll get to assistant coach Ryan Huska, who's at the podium, or soon to be at the podium, in just a second. But first, let's just a thought on Johnny Gaudreau. And we talked about to have 4 30-goal scorers at this point in the season. 64th game of the year. Yeah. The only team in the NHL to have 3 or more. Now you got 4 on this team. Obviously, you've got some depth in the offense, but Johnny gets goal number 200 here tonight in his career. Just a nice night for this trio.
Puck was on a string, and it wasn't just the points and obviously the goal to get him to the 30-point or 30 goal of the season and his 200th of his career. But he's just moving the puck well, setting up guys. But he drew a couple of penalties as well too. That's when you know when Johnny's really on his game, when he's finding the open ice and kind of developing more of that shark mentality, right? Attacking the defenders through the middle of the ice and creating some of the holes that you need to get these offensive looks. In the process, you're making it very difficult on the defending team, forced him into some mistakes, and as we saw leading to the power play goals, the penalties as well.
Yeah, for sure. And Elias pointed that out in the second intermission. They go hand in hand. The work starts, penalties came in terms of drawing the penalties, and eventually the power plays and power play goals. All right, let's get to the post-game reaction here, starting with assistant coach Ryan Huska. He's at the podium now. Let's listen in on his thoughts following the 4-2 win here tonight.
After the first period, what was the message after one?
I talked a little bit about our neutral zone play both ways, but really it was pushback from, the one line in particular. I thought they did a good job of, of course, scoring early there, but we had a little pushback where the first period was a bit of a flat period where we were just kind of there. So it was nice to see once that line got put back together again, they were able to generate and give us some good time in the offensive zone. And again, it's a little bit of pushback to start the second period.
How magical has that line been for you guys all year long?
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, when we've needed a big goal, they've scored that goal. When there needs to be a big game, they've found a way to put together a big game for us. So, you look at Johnny, 200 now, 2 more 30-goal scorers that we do have. They do an excellent job together and reading off of each other. So the chemistry that those 3 guys have, it's fun to watch, even from us behind the bench, to see some of the things that they're able to do.
They're setting, tying a mark for 4 30-goal scores hasn't been done since 1993. I mean, and there's still lots of season left. What does that say about the collective season kind of thing?
For those guys, or?
Yeah.
Well, I think, you talk about the way we want to play the game, and at the beginning of the year, I remember a lot of the comments were who's going to score, are these guys going to be able to score? But I think a little change in mentality of having some more zone time, a little shot volume that you've probably heard so many times, allowed them to have success early. And when they really feel good about their game, skilled guys, offensive players, when they have success early, things kind of snowball in the right direction. And I really do think it did for, those 4 guys in particular anyways.
Your time in Calgary, are you seeing something different from Johnny Gaudreau this season?
You see an elite player this year, a guy that can change the game on his own. For sure, I saw it in spurts my first year. I mean, he was really good that year too. And then there was spurts where you would see it the last couple of years where how he could take a game over and how he can be a difference maker. This year it's been consistent. And that's the cool thing to see. And I would probably think that he would say a lot of that credit goes to the 2 guys that he's played with for the bulk of the year. But you also notice a little difference in him in regards to leadership around our room. So I think he's maybe matured a little bit now. Maybe it's married life. I don't know what it is, but he's been good for us for sure.
What do you mean by leadership in the room? Is he talking more? Like how is that aspect of his player development evolved since you've been here, Ryan?
Yeah, you do see him with his line mates. You do see him in power play meetings voicing some opinions on different things. So in the past, sometimes he would be quiet and he would listen and he would give feedback when he was asked to give it. Now he's taking charge a little bit more in those areas, which for me, when I get to sit back and watch those power play meetings, it's really neat to see because you do see a guy that's really engaged, who wants to do well, who wants the power play to have success. Yeah.
What did you make of Jacob Markstrom bouncing back after he was pretty critical of his game against the Sharks?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? I thought his first period was good, really good for us tonight. He made saves that we needed him to make when we weren't very good again. So that's what you need for your number 1 goaltender. He has to make those saves at the key times, and I thought he did that for us tonight.
Special teams, again, you win that battle, both ends of it, and that's been kind of huge for this team all season.
Yeah, our penalty kill early I don't think was very good. They were able to get our zone a little bit too easy tonight, but then after that I thought we settled in and we looked more like we normally do. Our power play I thought was good tonight. They moved the puck around really well. Elias's goal was a beautiful goal again to watch with the puck movement that those guys, the chemistry again we go back to. But also Rasmus's goal, that was something to watch as well, which is cool to see. And he's been skating really well lately, and that's another guy that you have to feel good for. And I think you can see his belief in his ability has really started to grow as well. Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
There's some thoughts from assistant coach Ryan Huska post-game. Anything you pick up on? I've covered a number of topics. Johnny, first and foremost, but anything stand out?
I like what we saw from Rasmus Andersson tonight, and you and I were sitting here watching the game thinking, wow, 40 points, that's no small feat, and obviously we still have a ways to go, so keep climbing that ladder. But I like the way Ryan Huska kind of broke it down. So I had a chat with him a couple of weeks ago about Rasmus's season, sort of unheralded with the way that he's gone about his business this year, but the stuff that he's generating off the rush is really impressive to me, and I really like the way that he's eliminated some of that hesitation in his game. And I think that's key for a player like Rasmus Andersson. So much of his ability comes down to confidence, and the coaches have given him the green light to take the puck and run with it. That's not to say you're going to be doing that every single time you've got a lane, but what you need to do is eliminate the hesitation, because that's what can get a young blue liner in trouble. He's done that this year. He's picked his spots, and as we saw tonight, when he gets that right lane, he can really make some damage happen.
No question. And then obviously the discussion on the new 30 goal scorers, and there's both pucks, Matthew Tkachuk's 30th, and then the 200th goal of Johnny Gaudreau's career, as well as the 30th of the season.
New sensors in there too, I like that.
And by the way, I wanted to point this out because I'll own it, but we had to play the clip back from the second intermission. Elias Lindholm is 100% in the right to make a quick correction on the poor Flames TV host. But let's play it back. Just want to get it out there just before I get ahead of it. Matthew and Johnny both joining you in the 30-goal club here this season, and Andrew as well. What does that say about your group to have 3 guys with 30-plus goals here this season?
4. Four guys. Yeah. No, it's good.
Just
well, as
stone face there.
As I told them afterwards, counting's never been my strong suit. But to be fair, I think I did list all 4. Count one. 4 is too many.
You did, and for the record, I did write it down. I wrote Brendan can count.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
what I wrote on
pretty
the sheet here. So
it's unfortunate when your counting gets exposed on live TV, but that's the way she goes sometimes. All right, so there's the 4 30-goal scorers, and then I held up the number 3. 4 30-goal scorers on the season, which no team in the NHL has this season. Pretty impressive marker. And as we segue away from the offense a little bit, we also heard him comment a little bit on Jacob Markstrom, who at times in this game, particularly the first period, Flames get outshot 10-6, but just came up with some big stops at a big time for this group tonight.
Well, speaking of bounce back efforts, this is a guy that he wears a loss probably harder than anyone else on this team, and we've seen it all year. We've talked about it even in the offseason. This guy is dialed in from the time the puck drops in October to whenever we wrap up, hopefully later this year. Good to see it, and I think, by the way, unjustly blamed for how Tuesday went. Obviously some tough goals that he wanted to have back, but the team in front of him, admittedly, not very good. But this is the sort of competitor he is. It doesn't matter that maybe some of the defensive details weren't there. He knows and believes that he can stop every puck that's sent his way. So to have a bounce back effort like that, I mean, that's could have changed the game right there, right? So this game is still very much in the balance. That's what he does. He has the ability to turn games in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at that point it was 2-0 there, and then that save on Keller was fantastic. But they added to the lead at that point, 3-0, and then the rest is history, as they say. But Markstrom with a great bounce back game, and it just in particular, you talk about point production. I wanted to touch on this too because you mentioned Rasmussen and the number. Obviously, 40 is impressive, but I think at one point earlier this season, Darryl talked about 35 being the number for defensive goals too, and I think you're closing in on that mark right now with this group. I mean, you've got contributions from all 6 guys in terms of goal production. I believe we're at 29 goals from the back end right now, so
they were listening.
To 30. Yeah, it's a big number though. I mean, and huge, right?
It's huge. And you know what? While we're talking about Rasmus Andersson, I think not to take anything away from what he's been able to do, especially over this last little stretch, very impressive. But Noah Hannafin quietly has had an excellent season, and those two together have had some really nice chemistry. And this goal tonight is awesome. He got former Flame, I guess you could say, Anton Strawman just sort of pointed in the wrong direction. Those are the lanes we're talking about, right? See an opportunity. Maybe you can create some of that deception at the line. You pointed it out. Sometimes the D stack up at the line expecting a drop pass in that situation.
Or cheat to the outside. Or
keep him guessing, right? So it's working out.
Beautifully played there by Rasmus Andersson. And expecting to hear now a couple of players at the podium. I believe Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau are on their way. But we'll step aside first as they make their way to their podium. And we'll be back to join both players in just a moment.
We call it the Ram 1500 Limited. But truth be told, there's nothing limited about it. Ram 1500, winner, J.D. Power Award for Best Driver Appeal.
All right, Flames Postgame Live is on the air, and postgame reaction continues to come in. Let's now head to the podium and listen in on Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau, each player with a trio of points on this night.
200 NHL goals. What goes through your head?
Not much. I was just excited I scored. Obviously made it a 3-0 lead there, but obviously a lot of excitement, but it's just another goal for me.
How about you, Matthew? Nice to hit the 30-goal mark.
No, I mean, yeah, it is nice, but I think both of us have done it before, so I think we come in each year with not personal goals like you want to, like goals or assists or that stuff, but you just want to keep getting better each year. So hopefully that we just continue and play better and help the team offensively, defensively all around. And I thought we did a good job of, it was a pretty stale first period, and then came out and got a couple quick ones in the second. So I think that's part of our job out there. So glad we could do that tonight.
It's clearly a seamless transition for you guys to go back together and work your magic.
Yeah, I think that we're just, happy to be out on the ice, whether it's, together or not with each other, but definitely a little jump, if we're not together when they throw us out for a shift every once in a while. So, just decided to keep us there to start the second period, which we didn't know till right before the period, and just got one quick and kind of roll from there.
I think early on in the season, people are wondering where the goals would come from this season, and now you have 4 30-goal scorers. You know, what does that mean to you guys to have that, and how has that offense come to you? How do you explain this, what we see this season?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of offense on our team. I think, up and down our lineup, we have a lot of smart players on our team this year, and it's been a lot of fun to be a part of and to watch. And obviously, like you said, a couple players with some 30-goal seasons. So it's nice. It's not just coming from 1 or 2 players. I think that's what we're going to need come playoff time. If we're in, but hopefully, we keep playing the way we are, and we're in the playoffs, and that's what we're going to need.
Battle of Alberta tomorrow, that's something obviously you guys get very excited about and look forward to just getting at it.
Yeah, I think that they were. I don't think they played tonight, so they'll be well rested, and we're going to expect a tough game from them, and we're ready for it. We thought we played solid last time we played them here, but they've beaten us twice, and I think season series is 2-1 them, so we gotta get them back tomorrow.
Johnny, on your goal, you had Coleman to your left. Any thought of making a pass there, or what did you see on that?
Yeah, normally I'm a pass first guy, so I kind of thought there was a defenseman right behind him there. I might have been able to stick lift him or not, so I was a little hesitant to pass it, and I think the goalie was kind of cheating a little bit to the left, because I think he might have thought it was passing. So took a quick shot and found the top corner.
Johnny, usually Rasmus is dropping the puck back to you on the power play. What did you see on his goal?
Which goal?
The fourth one.
The fourth one, yeah. Yeah, no, not that one. Okay. Yeah, he made a great play. Obviously, kind of went end to end there. He's a smart player. He's a skilled defenseman, and I think a lot of their PK kind of stood up and wasn't expecting him to kind of go end to end a little bit there. So he had a lot of speed, and decided to hold on to himself and make a nice breakaway move, and it was a big goal for us.
Johnny, you gave a little nod to Monahan in the intermission interview there. Was he on your mind tonight a little bit before the game, just thinking about it's not an easy night for him?
What did I do? A nod?
You just said about Monahan that, we've got a lot of talent.
Oh, yeah, we do. I personally, he's been through a lot these past, 3-4 years. Every summer I feel like he's got a major surgery. It's tough. And like I said earlier this morning, he's been given a different role this year. So, it's tough. But, when he gets in the lineup or when he's at practice around the rink, he's always positive attitude, always, smile on his face, great teammate, great leader. Like I said this morning, he's a guy that I'd want on my team any day of the week. So when he does, if he does get back in tomorrow, or doesn't, he'll be excited to get going, and he'll play hard for us. That's what I know for sure.
Good guys, thank you. Tomorrow's at 10:30.
All right, Flames Postgame Live, it's brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. Wrapping up some postgame comments there from Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, and maybe just we'll wrap kind of some thoughts from them, and then we'll take a look at the standings and ahead to Edmonton, because big game here tomorrow night as well.
A little bit of chirp there from Johnny Gaudreau over to his buddy Rasmus Anderson. You got to like that. No, it's good. They're rolling right now, and you can tell every time they step to the podium after a good performance, there's a certain, I don't want to use the word swagger, I think that's overused, but there's a confidence in this room right now, and I think it's great to see how they're so even keel. And I hate to use cliches in a format like this, but the fact is, this was an important game because you've got another important game tomorrow night waiting for you. You can't get ahead of that. You got to stick to what is going to make you successful in this one, bag the 2 points, then refocus. I think they've done a great job of that all year, living in the moment and applying themselves the way they did tonight, which was pretty impressive.
Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard and where we see the standings sit as we head into that game tomorrow night. And Colorado ends up going final. They defeat the Philadelphia Flyers on home ice 6-3, so they add to their Central Division lead. Winnipeg come from behind win. I guess they got one in the, I think it was late in the second from Josh Morrissey. End up winning that one in overtime, 4-3. And New York Rangers continue to roll, 5-1 winners over the Pens. And Ovi, once again, figures into the conversation. He scores in regulation and then in the shootout, which brings us to the updated Pacific Division and wildcard standings as well. The Calgary Flames, there you see, adding to that lead now atop the Pacific Division. Avs closing in on 100 points, and there's still an interesting conversation to go at the bottom of that Pacific Division and then the wild card. There's a lot of teams still in the mix, which kind of brings us into tomorrow night.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Brendan, I'm a little guilty here. I mean, I know the Calgary Flames are right at the top, and we're talking about locking down a playoff spot. Obviously, that's the goal here, but I'm starting to look over on the wild card side and start to envision what a potential first-round playoff matchup might look like, because as you said, there's a little bit of separation happening there. But as it relates to tomorrow, I mean, this is a team that's rolling in the Flames right now. Edmonton's really heating up now, too. They just got some key members back: Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Brett Kulak, Derek Brassard now in their lineup too. So a huge shot in the arm, massive. So, and they were dictating the play. Nice little bit of chemistry with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins early there. So our job is to hype up these battles of Alberta. We've done that through the first three, but I really believe that this is going to be the best one, because you've got the best version of both teams. Everybody's healthy. There's a lot on the line tomorrow night, and Saturday night doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely, it's going to be the focal point on the back half of the Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader, and it's the last one this season. That's the other part that you have to kind of take into consideration. It's the final time these two teams will meet in regular season play as well. So the fourth and final Battle of Alberta.
And you said regular season.
Regular season. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Either way, we'll look forward to that. As for tonight, it is a victory for the Calgary Flames here on home ice against the Arizona Coyotes. 4-2 the final. A couple of big goals in that middle frame, and in fact, 3 of them. But it started with Matthew Tkachuk, Elias Lindholm, and then finishes with Johnny Gaudreau. The difference in this hockey game, Johnny's is his 30th, his 200th career goal, and the game-winning goal. Up next, it is the Edmonton Oilers, and we don't have to wait long. Less than 24 hours from now, round 4 of the Battle of Alberta, right back here at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Thanks for watching Flames Postgame Live, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. We'll see you tomorrow night.